really matters? That might be the most important question you can ask. So let's talk about it. Welcome to What Really Matters podcast, Everyday Spirituality with Karen Wyatt. I'm glad you're joining me here today for another episode. And I'm going to be talking today about what is most precious to you. And another way of saying that would be what really matters to you, which is the title of this podcast and also the subtitle of my book. And I think it's important that we take time here at the beginning of a new year to really look at our values and what does matter to us. And I was inspired to talk about this today because I recently listened to a brief YouTube interview between Carolyn Mace and her guest Lynn Bell. So Carolyn Mace is a medical intuitive, meaning she's a person who for all of her adult life and career, she has had intuitions about other people's health. And she worked with Norm Shealy, a medical doctor. She was more accurate than Norm was in figuring out diagnoses for difficult patients because she would get kind of energetic views of each person and their body and what was happening within their body, where they were leaking energy is how she would call it. So where they might have either an illness, an injury, or perhaps old trauma that was being stored in the body. So she's done amazing work as a medical intuitive, but she's also a historian. And so she's gone way beyond medical intuition in her work, and I've been following her for a long time. She is amazing at tracing trends throughout history and talking about how civilizations and societies grow and evolve and develop over time, and the big picture of shifts in mindset and how people think, and helping us understand how human beings are evolving throughout time and how that manifests in how we live together in our societies and our civilizations. So her books are all really wonderful. That's Carolyn Mace, M-Y-S-S is how you spell her name. And I've followed her for a long time, but she did a little interview with Lynn Bell, who is an astrologist, and they are going to be teaching a workshop together. And Lynn Bell was talking about some of the astrological changes that are happening this year. And now I'm not big on astrology. Honestly, I don't know very much about it. I don't really follow it. But Lynn was talking about these planetary shifts that are happening astrologically. And Carolyn was validating that there are things that happen in the cosmos, in the huge picture, that do have an effect on us here on Earth. And so two things, again, I don't know very much about astrology, so I'm not sure I will describe this very well, but Lynn was saying two things that are happening this year. One is that Saturn is moving into Pisces. I don't totally know what that means, except she said that Pisces brings about more fluidity and eases us into change, more rapid change. And so that's happening this year. And the fluidity means that it's change that flows more easily. And then also she said Pluto is moving from Capricorn to Aquarius. That is going to help erase some of the boundaries that have existed. She said also that power is going to shift from the few at the top to the many. Power is going to become more equalized. Boundaries are going to be erased, and there will be new rule systems that will govern us. All of these, she said, are positive changes that are coming. So anyway, as I'm saying, I don't understand very much about astrology, so this doesn't say very much to me. But the one thing she emphasized, she said, within any time big changes are coming to us in our society, and I think we all know, we all sense and feel that we are on the cusp of bigger changes, but it feels very uncertain, unstable, unknown what is going to happen this year, next year. And we cannot really predict what's coming our way. It feels unstable. We can feel things shifting around us. And it can be frightening. And she mentioned that as well, that anytime there is a big shift, it can feel like chaos at first, like there's no driving force behind this change. There's nothing governing it. There's nothing positive here that is pushing us forwards. And it may not even feel like we are moving forward. But the overall message is that these changes that are coming are for the good and will change things for the better ultimately. And we have to kind of hold on and get through the times of uncertainty and chaos that are coming. So one thing that she emphasized that is most important for us to do as individuals is to hold on to what is most precious to us. We have to be certain of what is precious to us. We have to make sure that what is precious to us becomes the focus of our lives and becomes the thing that we work at to bring into the world, to base our life around. And so I thought that would be an interesting thing to talk about because that's a way that I've been looking at the world for quite a while now, is understanding what really matters. That's how I refer to it. What is it that really matters to us? What is most important, so that when our time becomes divided and there are lots of stressors pressing down upon us and pulling us in various directions, that we can always remind ourselves, wait, this is what is most precious. And we can return to it over and over and over again to make sure that we're always honoring what is most precious, what does really matter. And theologian Paul Tillich has defined spirituality as ultimate concern. And I think ultimate concern also means what is most precious, what really matters. And Paul Tillich says, for any individual, your spirituality is what is your ultimate concern? What matters to you most? What, when push comes to shove, will you reach for and strive for and bring into the world? So what we're really talking about here is your orientation toward spirituality in a way. And so as you can see, spirituality itself has nothing to do with a religion in general, but it might for you, because it could be that what is most precious to you is practicing a certain religion and following the dogma of a religion, which is fine. It's just that the important step here is identifying what is most important and what do you cherish most. Now, if you have read anything of mine or you follow any of my work or have listened to other podcasts, you may already know what is most important to me, what I've identified as what really matters to me, and that is love. And so love can be something tangible, like love as in who I love. So what really matters to me, the people that I love, my family, my husband, my children, my grandchild, my dearest friends, like they represent love for me on the one hand. But on the intangible, love is an energy that flows through me that I strive always to be a vessel for, to bring into the world. I strive to live by this aspiration for love, to be more loving, to bring more love, to receive more love, to be open to love. So that is my ultimate concern. Love is my ultimate concern. Love is what really matters to me. Love is what is most precious to me. And so sometimes, as I said, it's manifested in my relationship with people, the people in my life that I care about, and maybe my garden and the woods around me, my connection to nature. That's part of love as well. But as my ultimate concern, as what really matters to me, love is way beyond just these physical exchanges that take place here on planet Earth. It's an energy. It's like a cosmic energy that for me, I feel it flows through me. I'm surrounded by it. And my work is kind of opening myself more and more so that I can be a better channel. And that means healing my old wounds, healing the anger and resentment and pain that I carry with me, because those are all obstacles to being a channel for love. Fear as well is a huge obstacle to channeling love. So the work that I do, it isn't so much focusing on bringing love to the world. The work is focusing on how do I heal all of those obstacles and attachments within me that keep me from sharing love. Because love itself is an energetic force, it flows, and I don't have to push love out. Love will flow if I remove the obstacles and the barriers to it so that it can flow freely through me. So let's see, an image for that might be if you have a pipe that is clogged, water cannot flow through it. Water flows. What that is the motion of water. That's the energy of water to flow. But if the water is contained in a pipe that is completely blocked or plugged, the water can't get through. And if there are only tiny openings in that plug, then only a tiny bit of water can pass through. This is a very simple way of looking at it. So the work is not to push love harder. The work is to go to the area where it's blocked and work on removing the blockages. And then the love, like water, will flow naturally on its own. So I just wanted to explain that to make sense, that the work is not so much focusing on love itself as it is doing my internal work and healing what is in my shadow, healing the wounds and the pain that I carry, and being aware of those wounds as they come up, as I get triggered by things in the world, being willing to look inside. Aha, I was triggered. That comes from a wound. That's something I need to work on. So for me, I will tell you just the little story of how I came to understand love as what really matters to me, which happened when I was 16 years old. And a classmate of mine, not a close friend, but an acquaintance, died. Another 16-year-old girl, she died in a hiking accident, slipped and fell off a ledge and died from the fall. And so this was the first time anyone close to my age had died in my experience. It was the first time I had experienced the death of someone my own age. And of course, it was a shock. Everyone in my class was, completely devastated by her death. And it was a shocking realization for all of us that you can die. You can die when you're 16 years old. And for me in particular, it was like my first brush with death, even though I had had grandparents who died when I was quite a bit younger. I was a little too young to process death, and I didn't quite experience the grief that I was confronted with at 16 when Jolie died. So the issue that came to mind, well, first of all, I'll tell you, I went to Jolie's funeral, which was magnificent. It was in the local Catholic church, a huge church, but the church was packed, completely packed with people. There was standing room only inside that church the night of her funeral. And it was truly more a celebration of life than a funeral. And the priest who conducted the ceremony had known Jolie very well. And one of the things that he said during his talk is that Jolie lived more in 16 years than most people lived in 80 years or 90 years. And he said Jolie fulfilled her purpose here on earth in just 16 years. That statement was riveting to me. She fulfilled her purpose. And I took that home with me and thought about that nonstop. She fulfilled her purpose in 16 years. And what is my purpose? What am I doing here? I may not even know for sure why I'm here. How can I fulfill my purpose right away to make sure if I die young that I didn't leave my purpose undone? And it made me realize I have to know what my purpose is. I have to understand that. And I felt frantic about it. I have to do this work right away to figure out what my purpose is. And at that age, at 16, I already knew that I wanted to be a doctor. I had already decided that when I was 12. So I was already pursuing that as my career. I was already taking Latin and science classes in high school so that I could be prepared to be a pre-med and then go to medical school. That I already had that goal set for myself. But what the crisis in my thinking was, is becoming a doctor my purpose? Is that what my purpose is? And what I panicked over is this new knowledge that I could die at any age. And I had a really long process ahead of me to become a doctor. It would take me years from that point on before I would actually be able to work as a doctor. And I suddenly realized I could die any time during this process. And if I do, then does that mean that I didn't fulfill my purpose? If my purpose is to be a doctor and I don't ever get there, what if I don't get accepted? What if it doesn't happen? Then I will be a failure. My whole life will fail. I won't have fulfilled my purpose. So this was the dilemma that was happening for me, what was going through my head at the age of 16, which as I think back now, that kind of seems unusual for someone at 16 to be having these high level thoughts about purpose in life. But I was really torn up over it, over trying to figure out, what does this mean? What is my purpose? And how can you have, if we can die at any time, how can we have a purpose that has a long term to it, a long run into the future for it to be fulfilled, and yet also be vulnerable to dying at any time and potentially not living up to our purpose? So I pondered and worried and fussed over this question for about 3 days nonstop. Thought about it, was pretty distressed over it. And I honestly didn't have a single person in my life that I could talk to about it that I thought would have wisdom about this question I was carrying, who could shed light on it. I knew that somehow I had to find my own answer. And it happened after this 3 days of ruminating on this question. I fell asleep in the afternoon, sitting in the reclining chair in our living room at home, which I don't normally do. I don't normally fall asleep in the middle of the afternoon, but I did that day. I took a nap, and I'm not sure if I had a dream or what happened during that little nap that I had. But when I woke up with like this electric energy going through me, and this like bright light within my mind, in a way, this illumination that said the word love. And I woke up and I remember I jumped up out of the recliner and I said it out loud, love. And suddenly I just knew with my whole being, love is the purpose. being a doctor isn't my purpose. Love is the purpose I came here for. And love, learning about love, learning how to carry love, how to show love, how to receive love. Love can be the purpose I work on, whether or not I get into medical school, whether or not I become a doctor, whether or not I die young. Love is a purpose I can work on every single day, and I can be fulfilling that purpose no matter what else happens in my life. If I get sick, if I get injured, anything else that comes my way, love is the one thing I can continue to work on. So this was age 16 when I had this realization that love is my purpose here for this lifetime on this planet. That's what I'm here for. And that awareness has stayed with me my entire life and has continued to resonate for me and ring true for me. It has never wavered. I have understood all along, all through my life, that love is what I came here for. And I say it at the end of every podcast, we're here for love. That's a little presumptuous of me because I'm here for love. I know that for sure. I'm guessing that other people are as well. But then again, who am I to say that? It's up to everyone to figure out what is most precious to them, what really matters, what are they here for. So again, for me, love is what it's about for me. And knowing that has been so very helpful to me because I've been through some hard times. My father died by suicide, which really took me years and years of work to understand, to navigate and negotiate, and even to figure out how do I keep working on love through this horrible grief and guilt that I feel over my father's death. So that's been a huge journey. There have been lots of other ups and downs in life and challenges and things that have happened that I've needed to find my way through. And yet, every single time, no matter how distraught I've become, how much I've fallen apart, no matter how much has unraveled for me in my life, when I've been able to return to that center, that knowledge that my ultimate concern, what really matters to me, what is most precious to me is love, I have always been able to get myself back on track. Like love has been the light that has illuminated my path for me. It has shown me, oh, wait, I'm falling apart. I don't know what's happening. I'm not sure what to do, but I understand it's about love. And that if I can just return to that place of love, go back inside, look at what is happening within me, what barriers are arising within me right now that I could work on to help me be a better vessel of love, that is what will get me back on track. And so love has never failed me. It has been my wise advisor, my guide. It has helped me. And along with love, I would also say the other awareness that has been very helpful to me is just the awareness that I'm mortal and that life is short and fleeting and I could die at any time, just as I recognized when I was 16. And keeping that in the back of my mind as well is a force that has helped me keep returning to what really matters to me, knowing that life is limited. Life is short. I can't waste my time getting drawn off track and distracted and deluded sometimes by other things happening in the world. Like love is the guiding force that won't steer me wrong, that can keep me on a good course, no matter it will be an up and down, difficult, challenging, painful, suffering course of life. But love is the illuminator that will help me see how to take the next step forward. And it always comes down to that. Can we just take the next step and keep ourselves going? And so that for me is what really matters, what is most precious to me. Now, in the book that I wrote, 7 Lessons for Living from the Dying, I talk about these other 6 lessons in addition to love, but they all serve love. The other lessons, like learning how to manage suffering, serves love. It helps us be better channels of love. Forgiveness, again, helps us clear out some of the pain and resentment that we carry so we can be better channels for love. Presence, learning how to live in the present moment instead of getting pulled away by the past or the future. The present moment is where love exists and where we can share and receive love. And purpose, of course, as I talked about, understanding the ultimate concern of my life, the ultimate purpose is growing in love and growing in my ability to channel love. That, again, helps orient every other choice I make about my career. What work should I be doing now? How should I spend my time? What career should I pursue? What education should I get? Having love as the ultimate concern has made a lot of those choices easier for me. And then the next 2 lessons, surrender, being able to just let go of my attachments so that I can allow the flow of love and allow love to carry me in the direction I need to go. That's been crucial. And then again, impermanence, this acknowledgement that we're mortal. Life doesn't last very long. Everything changes, and being able to just ride through those changes and make the most of everything we have here, not knowing how much of it I will have, not knowing how long I'll be here, how many breaths will I have here on this life, but making sure that each one matters and each one counts. So as I listen to Lynn Bell say, we each have to know what is precious to us, and we have to live our lives by what is most precious to us. That resonates with me because that has always been true for my life. Knowing that love is precious to me has helped me in every possible way. And I'm sharing this with you to encourage you. Do you know what is most precious to you? What is your ultimate concern? What really matters to you? And for each of us, it's a journey to consider that. Imagine losing things around you that you care about and losing one thing at a time, having them taken away from you. What persists? What is it that you still have? What is it if you lose all of your material possessions? What is it that you still have that cannot be taken away from you? I think that is your ultimate concern. And that is the thing to focus on during this year as we're figuring out how do we navigate some precarious times when things will feel chaotic, things will feel like they're falling apart. What is our center? What is most precious? What really matters? What's our ultimate concern? And can we dedicate ourselves this year to living by that most precious thing for each one of us? And I encourage you to take a look at what is most precious for you so that you know right now what that is, and you can set your sights on that as the thing that grounds you, centers you, and illuminates the path for you. So thanks for listening to my thoughts today on this topic. And no matter what we go through in this year, I'm determined to try to keep doing these podcasts and just sharing what comes up for me on the way as we go. And as you can see, a lot of times I just respond to things that I'm reading or listening to or hearing about that mean something to me. And I hope it's hopeful to you as well. So thank you for listening and joining me here. If you're so inclined, I would appreciate any support you can give to the podcast. You can go to eoluniversity.com/support. There are 3 different ways you can make small contributions, which just help me keep this podcast and End of Life University on the air. And I really appreciate it. So thank you in advance. I'll be back next week with some more thoughts. And so until then, remember, we're here for love, I say, but I'm definitely talking about me. I'm here for love. So face your fear, be ready for whatever life brings you next, and love each and every moment of your very precious life. Bye-bye.